The Silent Creature. By El Hassan Allah. Part 1. At 9:30 p.m., one night in the year 2500, a strange light appeared in an alley in New York City. It was not a normal light. It looked like electricity, but much more powerful, accompanied by lightning and violent winds, as if a sorcerer meant harm to this country. The terrifying and bizarre sight caught the attention of hundreds. People gathered to watch, and suddenly, he appeared. A strange creature. Wearing a black jalaba, carrying a shining sword, a bow and arrows made of pure light. Everyone stood in shock. No one knew where he came from, or from what time. And in the blink of an eye, he vanished. No trace. He did not utter a single word. A silent creature. Or perhaps, mute. A week later, at the exact same time and place, the strange creature appeared again. Glowing with light, moving faster than lightning toward the Central Police headquarters. The guards tried to stop him from entering, but he passed through them like a ghost, heading straight to the office of the chief of police. When the chief saw this strange man in his weird clothes, he called for backup to arrest him and interrogate him to understand his intentions. He thought it would be easy. But how wrong he was. The creature was impossible to catch. Too fast, too strong, vanishing in an instant. The attempt failed, and fear began to spread inside the station. This was no ordinary human. It was as if a jinn had descended from the sky. The strange man did not speak. He only pointed to a paper on the desk. Then, light writing began to appear on it. Evil is coming to this city. They have lived beneath the earth for centuries. He was warning them. The chief managed to read the luminous words, but then started to doubt and laugh. Is this a hidden camera? Are you some clown magician? He chuckled. The silent creature became enraged. He grabbed the chief by the neck and lifted him all the way to the ceiling. The chief almost choked. The creature's strength was not human. He could defeat 1,000 men. The other officers tried to save their chief, but failed. They had to call the main NYPD headquarters for help by phone and radio. Then, the creature gently lowered the chief and placed him back in his chair. He pointed to the wall. The chief looked, and the wall turned into a cinema screen, showing them the evil creatures dwelling underground. At that moment, the fear was clear on the chief's face. He had no idea how to deal with this being, or how to save the city from those villains. The creature pointed to his own mouth, meaning, I understand you. Speak. The chief smiled nervously and said, what are we supposed to do? As usual, the creature wrote his final message in light upon the paper. I am only here to warn you. Prepare yourselves to face them with all the strength and weapons you have, to protect your country. Do you want me to write part 2, The War of the Hollow Earth in English now? I have a strong idea for it, and I can also design a cinematic book cover for you, the silent creature in his black jalaba with his light sword in the alleys of New York in 2500. Part 2. The Awakening of Evil. Underground, where neither light nor sound reaches, the dead awakened. It wasn't just graves opening, the entire earth was cracking open. From its depths, from the dark sewer channels, from between the dense forest trees, and from under the foundations of the giant buildings in New York, skeletal structures began to emerge, wearing the remains of German soldier uniforms from World War I, carrying rusty helmets and old insignias from Hitler's era. They were walking in the streets of New York. Clack, 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 their bones colliding with each other, but with organized steps like an immortal army. Their goal was not just to kill, their goal was colonization. To become the rulers, and for humans to become their slaves, to be controlled by them in every way. The real catastrophe began. The villains were seizing ordinary people in the streets, in stores, in their homes. They would grab a human and suck his blood to the last drop, and suddenly, the skeleton would turn into a normal human, but with superhuman strength and eyes glowing with a frightening bright red light. The more blood they sucked, the stronger and more numerous they became. Panic swept New York City. Screaming, fleeing, cars crashing into each other. Some survived by running away, and some were caught and turned into new servants for them. The news spread like wildfire. All TV channels cut their programs. The press arrived with their cars and cameras to the heart of the stricken city, but even the journalists were caught live on air. Then what no one expected happened. The leader of the villains, who was the first to transform and became the most powerful, in his torn military uniform and eyes red as embers, stormed into the building of a major television channel. He stood in front of the camera, and his face was broadcast on all the big screens in the squares of New York and the world. And he said in a voice as cold as death, "Surrender to us, it is better for you. From today I am your president, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, you will all become skeletons like us." They were not satisfied with sucking blood, they also started inoculating people with a strange black vaccine. A vaccine not for cure, but for obedience. Whoever is injected with it completely loses his will, becomes a slave who hears and obeys, they control him as they wish, like puppets. Here, it was no longer just a crime, it became a war. The American government and army began to prepare. Sirens everywhere. Warplanes flying over the sky of New York, soldiers spreading on every corner, tanks and armored vehicles blocking the streets, in preparation for a battle the likes of which history has never seen, a battle between humans and the dead soldiers of evil. Part 3. The Silent Creature. And at the moment when the city was about to fall completely, he appeared. The Silent Creature. He emerged from the smoke, just in time to save what could be saved. He does not speak, but his presence shakes the earth. He began to fight the skeletons, smashing them with his hands, saving families. But unfortunately, numbers beat courage. As the saying goes, numbers beat the lion. Like ants, no matter how small they are, if thousands of them gather on a wounded lion, they will beat it. And that's what happened. The skeleton soldiers of Hitler were in the hundreds, in the thousands, feeding on human blood to become stronger and stronger, like vampires who never get full. The Silent Creature resisted with all his courage, but exhaustion began to show on him, his wounds increased, and their number did not decrease. He realized he could not do it alone. So he raised his head to the sky and released a silent call that only his own kind can hear, a distress call to his leader, to the ruler of the silent creatures. And at the last moment, when the villains were about to finish him off, the sky split open. The silent creatures appeared. The sky above New York was split in two. Half of it was fire from the army's bombardment, and the other half was white light descending from the silent ones. Underground, in the sewer tunnels, the old witch was still laughing. She said to the silent creature, "Even if you break the circle, the book is still open up there. And the curse will keep spreading." The silent creature didn't answer. He doesn't talk anyway. He took one step forward. From his chest came the same white light that had appeared before. A light that doesn't burn. A light that reminds you who you are. The light touched the ground. The cracks the witch had drawn in blood began to seal. Every skeleton in the city froze for 1 second, as if it remembered something. As if it remembered its name. The witch screamed and struck with her staff. Black smoke poured from it, trying to choke the light. But the light was stronger. The more the smoke rose, the brighter the light grew. At the same moment, on top of the tallest skyscraper, the sorcerer was holding the black book with trembling hands. The Lord of the Silent Ones stood before him. Massive, his eyes like 2 stars. He didn't move. He just raised his hand. The sorcerer opened the book to the last page. It was blank, but the moment he placed his hand on it, words began writing themselves in blood. He who brings back the dead must return with them. He himself had been dead. The witch had brought him back with rituals to be her king. And now the curse was demanding its price. The sorcerer screamed and tried to throw the book away, but it stuck to his hand. His skin began to dry and turn to bone. His helmet fell off. In 3 seconds he became a skeleton, and then ash that flew away with the wind. The moment the ash fell, every skeleton in the streets collapsed too. Clack clack clack, and then silence. Those who had turned into humans by drinking blood fell to the ground and froze. Those who had been vaccinated with the black vaccine opened their eyes. The red faded. They became human again, lost and afraid, but free. Below, the witch saw it all. She understood the game was over. She tried to run into the tunnel, but the silent creature got there first. He didn't strike her. He placed his hand on her book lying beside her. The white light burned it. The book turned to black ash. The witch fell to her knees. For the first time in 1,000 years she cried. Not from pain. From defeat. And then she turned to dust. Dawn broke. The sirens stopped. The planes left. The soldiers lowered their weapons. People came out of basements and homes. They found broken streets, but they found each other. The silent creature stood in the middle of Times Square. The silent ones around him. No one clapped. No one spoke. But everyone put their hand over their heart. That was the language of the silent ones, silent gratitude. The Lord of the Silent Ones looked at the silent creature and nodded. The mission was complete. The sky split open again, but this time not for war. To go home. Before they left, the silent creature turned and looked at a little girl holding her mother's hand and crying. He went to her, bent down, and touched her shoulder. The girl stopped crying, and then they flew away. Without a sound, just as they had come. The end. New York was never the same. Now there was a small memorial in every neighborhood, a white stone with a handprint. No one knew whose it was. The government banned any talk of the black vaccine. But doctors began studying the light that came from the creature's chest. They called it the serum of will. And the witch, and the sorcerer. They became a story told to children to make them go to sleep early. If you open the book of evil, evil will open you first.